tonight when they go home. Let's go over to Kevin now.
Thank you, Susan. When you go to the movies, special effects play such an important part in the appreciation of that motion picture. And, of course, half of these special effects, because it has an awful lot to do with it. Recently, I had a chance to talk with a man by the name of Mark Mangini. Mark is certainly one of the best in the business of sound effects on the silver screen, worked on such motion pictures as Raiders of the Lost Ark and Poltergeist. I asked Mark recently, why don't we hear nearly as much about the audio as we do about
I'd love to know why.
effects?
We do an awful lot of work. We work very hard. It's the kind of thing much like picture editing where if you're aware of the sound effects, you're not doing your job.
How do people perceive the audio? Do they think when somebody is out shooting a movie, the sounds they hear are just background noises that were there anyway?
That's the way most people think of it. If you've done your job, people will think that that is actually what was recorded on the set while they were shooting. That is usually a totally erroneous assumption. In a film like Raiders of the Lost Ark, almost 90% of the sound in the movie was completely replaced or added by sound effects editors, either recorded long after the filming was done or created in a variety of manners of tape manipulation, whatever.
Now, how many people would be involved in special audio effects in the movie business? Is it a very selective group of people?
There are maybe 5 or 6 companies like our own. There's maybe 200 or 300 people total in the business.
What I'd like to do is let someone listen to exactly what your trade is all about. Now, obviously, you've worked with Steven Spielberg.
Correct, twice.
On Raiders and also on Poltergeist.
Correct.
And the thing that is interesting is, again, you're watching the movie, and a lot of times you just think the stuff is there. For example, we have a sample of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Why don't you set it up for us and tell us what we're going to see?
Okay, what we're going to see is the scene where Indiana Jones removes the idol from the temple in the beginning of the film.
Okay.
And what I think I want people to realize is that every sound that they're going to hear in this little 1-minute clip has been completely added, contrived, manipulated by sound editors. None of that sound was recorded when the scene happened.
Okay.
So that's a setup to begin with.
All right, Indiana Jones, better known as, of course, Harrison Ford. Listen very carefully to this little piece of Raiders.
Give me the whip. Throw me the idol. No time to argue. Throw me the idol. I'll throw you the whip. Give me the whip. Adiós, señor.
By the way, we'd like to thank Paramount Pictures and Lucasfilms for the clips of Raiders this morning. All right, now, how expensive is it to get good sound effects?
To do it right, a good healthy budget for a major motion picture like this can run as much as $200,000, $300,000 for our labor, our expenses, the sound effects we have to go out in the field and record.
Now, some of the things, Mark, that we just heard, like the beam coming down, all right, the crack of the whip, how are those generated?
We go out with special recording equipment that we have and actually recreate it. We know the exact moves that we need, and we go and record it. A thing like the stone door coming down is usually something that's cheated. I don't know where to find a stone door like that, but I do know how to fake the sound. We use things like a lawn roller filled with water, rolling it on a gravel road. That gives you that crunchy sort of, rolling, gravelly, gritty sound. That maybe slowed down, some equalization, some bass to boost it and make it bigger.
I think after you talk about it, maybe all of a sudden you become certainly more aware. Raiders had so many great effects. Let's take a look at another little piece. What are we going to see now?
I think we're going to see the very beginning of the fight in the Nepal bar where Marion is being threatened by a hot poker, and then Indy comes in and saves her with the whip.
All right, again, we want you to listen very carefully. Here's some more of Paramount's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Well, I can be reasonable.
That time is past.
You don't need that. Wait. anything.
Yes. I know you will.
Let her go.
Now, do you guys take care of the music as well, or are you strictly the effects?
We're strictly sound effects, whips, gunshots, and an interesting thing in this clip here is the poker that you see him threatening Marion with is actually a prop. It's a plastic bar with a little light bulb in the end of it. Now, that doesn't make any sound, but to add a sense of suspense and threat, we add some sizzling, frying, searing sounds to really make you feel like she's going to get it.
That wasn't Annette maybe frying bacon at your house in the morning, was it?
Actually, believe it or not, it wasn't Annette, but it was steak. We took a frozen piece of meat and stuck it in a red-hot pan.
All right.
A real poker wouldn't make that sound.
What makes a good sound effects editor?
What makes a sense of imagination, a real desire to want to thrill people and to move them emotionally.
The movies you have worked with have thrilled people emotionally, have won great acclaim by the best, and we're going to see another Mr. Spielberg production.
Right, Poltergeist.
Okay, tell us a little bit about this one.
This is one of the toughest tasks of a sound effects editor. We're going to see a scene where the ghosts are in the closet, and they want to go in and get their daughter, who's in the closet with the ghost, effectively. Now, there's a lot of surreal, bizarre things that are happening in this house, things you've never seen before. And while you're gonna have to hear sounds that you've never heard before. That's our job, to create the sounds to go with some of these bizarre visual effects.
Okay, the movie is Poltergeist, and here is what Mark Mangini's sound effects were all about.
I got it! No, let me!
You can't! Who's strong enough to stay up here and hold the rope?
Fantastic. Our thanks, by the way, to MGM Films for coming up with the video. I understand your ultimate sound effect is due any day now. You and Annette are going to have #1.
And believe it or not, we're going to be recording it as well simultaneously. The whole birth, his first cry, everything. That's the key to being...
Are you telling me that maybe in a future Steven Spielberg movie I may hear your kid?
That's the key. That's a dedicated sound editor. That's what it's all about.
Mark, from all of us on the Sunday Show, we wish you and your wife the very best with your newborn, and we hope that it's a great success for you.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you for spending some time with us. Mark Mangini, a good sound effects person. Next time you go to the movies, not only watch, but listen real close, will you? Next up, our vanishing wildlife habitat.